this hull ended up really lopsided. If you look, the side over by the door there is pretty straight. Side over here by the pallets is pretty sloped. Slope is better. But I would guess that probably the bottom of the boat is actually what's lopsided here. So the next step is what's critical for catching any of these errors. If they're not so obvious, they just jump out at you the way this one does. And the funny thing is, the boat would actually be handled perfectly fine like this. It might interrupt your paddling a little bit. It would be obvious and look funny. But because of the bottom of the hull just being barely in the water, and the strakes that will be down the center line, is you kind of see the chalk line that's snapped there, the boat would track perfectly fine. Probably wouldn't have too much issues. Your arms might wear out at a different rate. But this right here is going to be showing you the step of how we straighten this out and measure everything and get it so it's back in more or less symmetrical shape. So putting a chalk line down the center of the boat, make sure that you've got everything straight, is the most recommended way of doing this. It's pretty important really if you want to have a boat that is even and straight. And you just take the chalk line, and I can see the remains of my old line, but they're not super clear. So I want to have a clearer one, which is why I'm doing this again. Now I'll know right where the middle of everything is, hopefully. Alright, close enough. Next thing you do, take your tape measure, put it on the stern of the boat, run it up to the bow, and every foot, every 12 inches, or centimeters, I don't know what that works out to for those of you in the rest of the world, mark, and we're going to call these stations. So every foot becomes a station. Get off here. The chalk line did not come out good on this end, but I'll figure it out. And it doesn't matter how long of a boat you're making, you want to have your stations about the same distance. So that's the 8-foot mark. 9, 10, 11. So a 12-foot boat, you get 11 stations. And then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take your tape, your square, right angle here, and just lay it so that the tip here is lined up with the line, the tip here is lined up with the line. Take your ruler, and you're going to measure how far from the center line to this edge, and then you're going to do the same thing. So let's say right here, I hope this is what the camera is focused on. It is. Okay. So right here, I line this up with that. I've got 8 and 5/8. So now I'll come over here. Line that up to the center line at 8 and 5/8, and sure enough, this boat is further over on this side. So I'm going to mark here. I'm going to do that for every station. And what I bet is I'm going to find that this side needs to come in more. And then what I'll do is I'll actually take and kind of redraw a line. And then I'm going to take the planer and plane this side off to match the dimensions on that side. And you can do the same thing with the rails. You can figure out straight down on the rail, straight down on the top here, how far out is it, and that's how you work on your symmetry to get everything straight on the boat the way that you want it. So if you can see my pencil marks, this is where I've got to bring this side of the boat into. Next station, I've got to bring it in that much to match the other side. This station, it's right there. This station, all the way down, varying amounts. I've got to bring the side of this side of the bottom in order to match. Notice right here, it's almost to the edge. By the time we get down to the bow, it's even. So really, it just comes down to this stretch where you get this wider gap. I've got to bring that in. Now, that's still not going to fix my sides, so I may need to take this in further and then actually take some from the other side to match this side. But it's all part of the game. We'll see. I'll make it work. I've never had a boat that was so bad I couldn't do it. Now, the reason I re-snapped the chalk line is the vibration of the planer tends to vibrate the chalk off. So that's why I had to go back and do it. And as you can see, this one came out a little wrong, but I figured out because I can still see the remains of the old one. But so we'll get the planer out and we'll plane down to those new marks, and then we'll see how symmetrical the hull comes out to at that point.